Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Styles by Sienna and my name is Atinuke. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for sticking with me. For those that are just stopping by for the first time, on this channel we share sewing tutorials, tips and tricks. So if this is something that interests you, please subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I post a new video. So today we are going to be making a tutorial on how to cut and sew a female shirt. So if this is something you'd like to learn, stay tuned to the end of this video. Without further ado, let's go right into it. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into two. We are going to be cutting the front panel first, and I used the largest size of my body measurement, which is my hip measurement, and I added like 5 inches allowance to it because we are going to have a button allowance. So I'm going to go ahead now to mark the starting point 1 inch from the beginning of the fabric. So I will mark it out and make a straight line there. So any measurements you are going to be making now will be from the starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and insert all my horizontal, all my measurements, my bust points, my waistline and my top length, which is 27 inches. It's 26, but I added 1 inch as any allowance to make it 27. So guys, that's my bust points, waistline and top length. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to come up by 1.5 inches from my bust points to form my chest line. So after that, on that folded part that I'm touching now, I'm just going to go ahead and mark out 2.5 inches from the beginning to the end of the top. So that's our button allowance, and all our measurements will be taking it from after that line. So I'll go ahead now to draft the basic bodice measurements. So I've gone ahead to draft it, and I added 2 inches as allowance, 1 inch for ease and the other inch for sewing allowance. So I'm coming up by 2 inches on the side of the top, and I'm going to slant it towards the end of the top to give it a kind of shape. So I did not make that in this top because we are making shirts, so there's no need for that. So on the neckline, I'm going to come down by 2 inches. It's a shirt, I don't want to come down than that, so I'm going to blend it to the neck width. So that's our neckline. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and cut it out. So guys, I've gone ahead to cut it out, and this is what we have. So on the shoulder line, we are going to come down by 1 inch. So we are going to come down by 1 inch on the shoulder line. Mind you, I've already added the half an inch joining allowance to it, so we'll come down by 1 inch. So that's the 1 inch that I'm making. I'm just going to connect it in a straight line and cut it off. So once I do that, our front panel is ready. I'll just go ahead and slash the button allowance that is on fold. Then that's that about our front panel. I will go ahead to draft the back panel. So I'm just going to go ahead now to notch where the button allowance end so that I'll be able to recognize it when I'm folding the button allowance. So these are the 2 pieces for the front panel. So guys, I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 2 again for the back panel. So this time around, I didn't add any extra allowances. So for the starting point, I'm going to come down by 2 inches, and we know the reason for this in a bit. So I'm going to go ahead now to draft the basic bodice pattern on this back panel. So after drafting the basic bodice pattern, I went ahead to go down by 1.5 inch for the neckline, and I connected it. So now on the shoulder line, remember we came down by 1 inch at the front part. So we are going to be going up by 1 inch at the back part, which is going to replace the 1 inch that we cut out at the front panel. And that's because when you see your shirt, you see that the shoulder line is falling towards the front. So that's why we are marking it, and this is the reason why we left 2 inches as our starting point. So now I'll go ahead and cut it out. So guys, this is our back panel and this is our front panel. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to open up the back panel and fold the button allowance. I'll first of all fold half an inch, then after folding it, I'll fold it again I will fold again 1 inch. So making sure the end of the folding is stopping on top of the notch that I made the other time. So I'm going to go ahead now to sew it straight down. So guys, this is my button allowance. I've already folded it, and after folding it, I gave it a very good press. So this is my button allowance now, and this is how my front panel is looking. So I'll go ahead to place the back panel on it, the right side facing each other, and go ahead and join the shoulder together. So guys, this is what I have after joining the shoulder together. So I'm just going to like fold it, making sure that the front panel and the back panel are lying on top of each other. So if you place it right the way I'm placing it now, you see that the shoulder line are aligning and the armhole is not aligning. So you have to align the armhole. So that's what I'm doing now. I went ahead to align the armhole so the shoulder line fall towards the front. So I'm giving it a good press. So after that, I'll go ahead and use this armhole to cut out my sleeve. So I've gone ahead to attach the sleeve to this piece, to this cloth. So now I'm just going to go ahead now and pin the sides together so that I can go ahead to join it with the 1 inch seam allowance that we left. So guys, this is my fabric after joining it together. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and attach my collar. So to cut out the collar, before I cut out the collar, I'll trim off these excesses at the button allowance first. Then I'm going to go ahead and mark my neck, I mark the neckline round. So after marking the neckline round, the neckline is giving me 27 inches. So I'm going to go ahead now to use that to fold that 27 inches into two, and that's 13 and a half. So I'm cutting my collar and fold. So that's why I'm folding it into two. So I'm going to use my paper stay because that's what I will be gumming to the main fabric to make it stand firm. So now I'm trying to mark out the 13 and a half inches. So once I'm going to go ahead now to cut off these excesses to make it straight. So after making it straight, I'll go ahead to mark out the 13 and a half inches, which is going to be the length of the width of our collar stand, because we are marking as a collar stand first. So I'm going to mark out 1.5 inch the way I'm marking it out now. So that's going to serve as our collar, the height of our collar stand. So I will connect those 2 points together, like the height and the width. I'm going to connect it together. So after connecting it together, I will go inward at that upper part by 1/2 inch. So I'll mark it out now. Then I will curve it to connect it in a curvy way to the down part. So I'll go ahead now to cut that out. So guys, that is our collar stand. So I will go ahead to mark as our collar for now. So we are using the same width, which is 13 and a half inches. So I've marked that. So I will just form a straight line there. So from the beginning of the paper stay, I'm going to go up by 2.5 inches all round. So after going up by 2.5 inches, I'm just going to connect the 2.5 inches to the 13.5 inches on the side. So that's going to be the height of our collar for. So after that, I'm going to go in at down part by 1 inch, and I'm going to connect that 1 inch to the height of the collar for the way I'm connecting it now. So at the midpoint, at that folding, I'll come down by 1/2 inch. So after coming down by 1/2 inch, I'm just going to use my free hand to blend it to the height of the collar. So we are basically done. So that means we are disregarding the other line at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out now. So this is our collar fall, and this right here is our collar stand. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it on the fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut the collar fall and the collar stand on the fabric, and I added half an inch all round, which I'm going to use to join it together. And that's because I went ahead to cut 2 pieces of each. So I'm going to go ahead now to use my iron to press this paper stay on the fabric. So I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what I have. So I'm going to set aside the collar stand for now and start working on the collar fall. So I will make sure that I place the right side on each pieces on each other, the right side of the 2 pieces of collar stand or the collar fall on each other, and I'm going to sew it around that way till the other side. Then after that, I'll turn it to the right side, give it a good press, and sew down the opened parts. So this is what I have after doing all that. So now I'm going to fold it into 2 and give it a notch at the midpoint. So I'll take my collar stand as well, the one that I attached the paper stay to, and I'm going to give it a notch at the midpoint as well. I will do the same for the other piece of the collar stand. So after that, I'm going to open up the one that I attached the paper stay to and lay it on the table. Then I'm going to place the collar stand on it, the collar fall on it, and I will make sure the notch at the midpoints are aligning on top of each other. Then the other piece as well, I'm going to place it on the others as well and align the notches at the midpoints on each other. Then I'm going to go ahead to pin it down. So after pinning it down, I will take it to my machine and just sew it round. So this is what I have after sewing it round. I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the excesses that are remaining at the seam allowance. So after trimming them off, I'm going to turn it to the right side and give it a good press. So guys, I've given it a good press, and this is what we have. So it's time to attach it to our main bodies. So I'm going to fold the neckline of our main bodies into 2 the way I'm folding it now. I'm going to notch it at the midpoint. So I'm going to do the same for our collar as well. I'm going to go ahead to fold it into 2 as well, and after that notch it. So after notching it, I will open up the neckline and open up the collar stand, making sure that the parts where I paste the paper stay is where I'm attaching to the fabric. So I'm going to pin it from the midpoint down to one side. So after pinning it down to one side, I'll take it to my machine and sew it down with half an inch allowance. Then I'll do the same for the other side as well. So after attaching the collar, this is what I have. So now I'm just going to cover up this sewing with the other side. So I'm going to go ahead now to fold the top part of the collar. The way I'm folding it like this, I'll fold it with half an inch. So after folding it, I will take it to my machine and sew it down. So guys, I've gone ahead to sew down the collar, and this is the final look of our collar. This is the wrong side and this is the right side, so it's looking also neat. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and make my buttonholes, attach the button and hem it at the down part, and we are done with it. So guys, this is the final look of our shirt. It's looking so good and beautiful on the mannequin. So thank you so much guys for watching this video. Please like this video and let me know in the comment section if you learned something from this video. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel to enjoy more sewing content. I will see you in the next video guys. Bye.